welcome to today's lesson on pedagogical content knowledge in biology. In this lesson, we are going to learn something about planning and designing of experiments. And this is session 3 of Unit 3. In Unit 3, we are on scientific inquiry skills. Now, these are the objectives for this session. So by the end of this session, we'll be able to explain planning. When we say planning, what does it mean? To discuss planning and design of experiment, we should be able to discuss that. And then appreciate the implication of planning and designing and teaching that. We appreciate that. So we begin with experiments. Before you conduct an experiment, you have to plan. So planning is the process of deciding how you do something before you do it. So before you conduct an experiment, there should be a plan. So in the planning of biology experiment, the students are required to come out with what goes on in their mind, the steps and the preparation students will pass through before taking the necessary action on the task. So these ones are very important here. Very, very important here. So as I stated there, so any student in the field of study at any level needs to show some proficiency in the acquisition of scientific skills of planning, performing, and reasoning. You should be able to show some kind of scientific skills. So that's why planning is very important. You have to plan before you conduct experiment. So you should develop the skill of planning in your experiment. Before you conduct a research, you have to plan. Okay? You have to plan for the research. You have to know that the methods to use in your research. You have to identify the problem, formulate your hypothesis. All those things you have to plan before you conduct a research. So the laboratory task is designed by the biology teachers, and he or she holds on to these skills that are to be exhibited by the students. So you, the teacher, you hold the skills of laboratory tasks, okay, like the skills needed by students to conduct research. You, the teacher, you hold that skills. That's why you have been trained. Okay, you have been trained. You went to university, and then you were trained in that how to conduct research. So the skill of conducting a research, you the teacher, you hold that. So I'm saying that biology teachers should have in-depth knowledge on how the tasks are designed. So you, the biology teacher, you have to have in-depth knowledge on that. And then biology learning and development of process skills are integrated activities. They are integrated activities. So when you want to conduct a research, there are so many things that goes into it. You have to identify a problem. There is a stepwise process. So you, the biology teacher, you've gone through these things before you became a professional teacher. So you have to take your students through. And I'm saying that the role of the biology teacher in this regard is to get involved in considerable number of planning and hands-on activities to develop the appropriate skills to guide the students to solve scientific problems involving planning and design. So you, the teacher, you have to involve yourself in considerable number of planning and hands-on activities. You have to go for a workshop. You have to be going to workshops, programs, so that you gain knowledge from there, and then you come and apply it in your classroom. The next one is planning and designing of experiments. Now, planning and design of experiment, we are saying that what you have to do is the development of hypothesis. Planning and designing of experiment, assistance in the execution of experimental activities, modification of experimental activities where necessary, and then in order to reach conclusion. So these things you have to go through. One, development of hypothesis, planning and designing of experiment. You have to be persistent in the execution of experimental activities. You have to modify experimental activities where there is the need, okay, so that you reach a good conclusion. So I'm saying that research evidence show that when confronted with a problem, scientists who excel in their respective field of work develop a number of hypotheses within a short time and design experiments to test how far each hypothesis is true. Now, when COVID-19 came, you needed vaccines to treat the disease, to treat it. So scientists in the world scientists came on board, some researchers came trying to find how best they can treat the COVID-19 virus. A lot of scientists came on board. So before they came up, they come and say that we found a vaccine or we found a drug to treat COVID-19. They conduct series of research before they will stop. You test, you fail, you test, you fail, you test, you fail several times before you get the right vaccine for the disease. So in planning and designing of experiment, you have to go through a lot of process before you come out with a meaningful conclusion. So when you come out with a meaningful conclusion, you come and prove to the world that, so when you're taking this vaccine, this is how your body will behave. When you see these signs, it doesn't mean that the drug is not good. So you conduct a research in a scientific way. Conduct a research in a scientific way. It shouldn't be just this our local men where they say some are even saying they have those who prepare concoction for people, the herbal medicines. They say they have drug for HIV/AIDS. They have drugs. They can cure it. You can cure HIV/AIDS. The white man who even identified the disease is saying there's a treatment which you take the drug for a very long time. You can live up to 80 years and above. But we, the Africans, some of our colleagues are saying they have a cure for HIV/AIDS. And this when you hear these things, you become so surprised. Planning and designing experiments. So some of the critical characteristics to encourage students are: 1. Observation. 2. Identification of the problem. You observe. Okay, characteristics. That is planning. These steps you have to go through. So you observe, you identify the problem, you formulate your hypothesis, you test your hypothesis through the experiment, you analyze your experimental results, and then you draw a conclusion, and then you review your hypothesis, whether it was true or false. So these are the steps you have to go through before you can conduct an experiment. Okay, you have to conduct an experiment. These are the steps you have to go through. So we have learned a lot in this session. So we have to review what we have learned so far. So I'm asking questions under the review session. I believe you are going to find answers to these questions. So question number 1, I'm saying, what is planning in biology learning? Question 2, how would the implication of planning and designing biology experiment help biology to teach in the class? Question 3, state 3 critical characteristics of planning and designing skills that should be exhibited by biology students. So state 3 critical characteristics of planning and designing. So please, students, you have to discuss these questions among yourselves on any available e-learning platform. You can create a Zoom link or a Google Meet link and then have a discussion on the platform.